By sunrise, the first pieces of my legal strategy were already moving. I wasn't interested in arguing with Karen. I wasn't interested in another HOA hearing. And I definitely wasn't interested in paying a fake $10,000 fine. I wanted answers. Real answers. The kind that come from documents, records, and sworn statements. The kind that survive in court. Over the next several weeks, I requested every document I was legally entitled to review. Meeting minutes, financial statements, vendor contracts, board resolutions, voting records, election records, expense reports. Karen fought every request. That alone told me I was getting close. If everything was legitimate, transparency would have helped her. Instead, she delayed, ignored deadlines, provided incomplete records, and occasionally claimed documents had been misplaced. That was a mistake, because every refusal created another paper trail, and paper trails become evidence. Soon, I wasn't the only homeowner asking questions. Word spread. Residents who had quietly paid fines for years started comparing notes. One family had paid nearly $4,000 in penalties. Another had paid over $7,000. An elderly couple had spent months fighting violations that never existed in the governing documents. The stories kept coming. Each one sounded different, but they all pointed toward the same problem: Karen. Then came the breakthrough. A homeowner named Robert contacted me after one of the meetings. He carried a thick folder under his arm. "I think you need to see this." Inside were copies of financial reports dating back 4 years. Reports Karen never expected homeowners to compare. Numbers didn't match. Expenses changed between versions. Approved budgets suddenly looked very different from actual spending. Money was disappearing. Not millions, but enough. Far more than enough. The HOA wasn't merely abusing authority. It appeared to be mismanaging homeowner funds. Possibly worse. The attorney smiled the moment he reviewed the evidence. That wasn't a good sign for Karen. Over the next month, a formal legal complaint was prepared, not just against the fine, against the HOA's actions as a whole. Every document was organized, every violation cataloged, every inconsistency documented. When the lawsuit was finally filed, it landed like a bomb. The HOA board held an emergency meeting. Residents packed the room. People lined the walls. Others stood in hallways trying to listen through open doors. Karen walked in looking confident. That confidence lasted less than 10 minutes, because homeowners weren't asking questions anymore. They were demanding answers. Why were fines issued under rules that don't exist? Why weren't contracts competitively bid? Why were relatives receiving HOA money? Where did these expenses come from? Karen had no answers, only excuses. And excuses don't work when documents are projected onto a giant screen for everyone to see. Then the attorney stood. He displayed the $10,000 fine, page by page, line by line. The room grew quieter with every slide, because every justification Karen had used relied on authority she didn't legally possess. The governing documents were clear. The board couldn't impose penalties that way. The board couldn't create rules that way. The board couldn't authorize many of the actions Karen claimed were approved. People weren't angry anymore. They were shocked. The lawsuit quickly expanded. Other homeowners joined. Then more, then more. Within weeks, what began as one fake fine became a community-wide legal battle. And Karen was losing. Fast. The courtroom hearing arrived 3 months later. Karen entered looking exhausted. The judge looked even less impressed. For hours, evidence was presented. Financial records, board minutes, emails, contracts, violation notices. And finally, the $10,000 fine itself. The judge reviewed everything carefully, then asked a single question. Can the HOA show where this authority exists in the governing documents? Silence. Karen's attorney searched through papers, flipped pages, checked notes, nothing, because the authority didn't exist. It never had. The courtroom remained silent. The judge looked down at the file, then back up. His expression said everything. The ruling was devastating. The $10,000 fine was void. Every related enforcement action was void. Several categories of HOA penalties were declared improperly issued. The court ordered extensive corrective measures. Refunds followed. Thousands of dollars flowed back to homeowners. Then came the financial audit. That was where things truly fell apart. Independent auditors reviewed years of records, contracts, invoices, payments, approvals, everything. The findings were brutal. Conflict of interest violations, improper contracting procedures, unauthorized expenditures, governance failures. The HOA board fractured almost immediately. Members resigned, one after another. Some claimed ignorance. Others blamed Karen. Nobody wanted responsibility anymore. Karen herself lasted less than 2 weeks. Facing mounting pressure, legal exposure, and community outrage, she resigned as HOA president. For the first time in years, nobody applauded her. Nobody defended her. Nobody followed her. The residents had seen the truth. And once people see the truth, fear stops working. What do you think is the worst lesson of this story? 6 months later, Cedar Creek Estates looked different. Not physically. The houses were the same. The streets were the same. But the atmosphere had changed. People attended meetings again. Financial reports became public. Rules were followed properly. Transparency returned. Trust slowly followed. As for Karen, she moved away shortly after. The woman who once controlled every meeting, every violation notice, and every threat couldn't even control the outcome of her own decisions. Because power built on intimidation never lasts. Eventually, it runs into facts. And facts always win. Karen thought a $10,000 fine would force me to surrender. Instead, it exposed everything. The lesson was simple. When authority stops following the rules eventually come for the authority. And that is exactly what happened. If you were in this situation, what would you do? Be sure to tell me in the comments. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel for more amazing HOA Karen stories.